We're doing another little different thing this year. We decided, I don't know, how many of you saw our ad for the empty chair? All right, so we have decided that we decided we were going to have an empty chair moment where somebody was going to have the opportunity to come up on stage and talk to me. We put everybody who applied in a hat and decided to pick one. So drum roll. I should have given me all sorts of sound effects. Anna Elbenor, come on up. There you are. Anna, welcome to the Skift stage. Have a seat. We're very far away, but that's okay. We'll make it feel homey.
Slightly daunting.
Yeah. Is this your first time on stage like this? Yeah. Okay. So first of all, why don't you just tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, what company you work for, all that good stuff.
So I'm Anna Abdelnour. I'm the CEO of an organization called Isla. We operate within the business events industry, and we help organizations in the sector take what are really important but frankly quite boring conversations about sustainability as a value or a cultural thing to being a strategic, commercial and operational lever that builds capability in the business for long-term growth, essentially, and stability.
So what's your biggest megatrend this year? Like for you personally in what you're doing? Like what's the big trend that you're seeing in 2026?
An emergence, I think, of a different kind of leadership. If I'm honest, I think I look across the sector and a lot of the time leaders are interested in protecting their interests, and I get that. We're human, we have reputations,
you mean like
we
money?
Have incomes. Their interests, who they are, what they represent. They represent a brand, they represent an organization, they represent themselves. And I think the industry globally, not just the industry, geopolitically, economically, we're crying out for a different kind of leadership, one that is based in credibility. And I think when you look at that in the context of AI and authenticity is an overused word, but AI slop, if you want to use that term as well, which maybe we won't ban.
I like that one.
But I think that concept of what are people saying, what are they standing for? The world order has changed. We need to come back to values.
So everybody in this room, presumably, it works in the travel space. Anyone not? Anyone just here for the reception afterwards? Okay. What are all of these people underestimating in this room as it pertains to sustainability?
Oh, as it pertains to sustainability,
or anything else if you've got a zinger.
I think maybe if you've asked me that question before, kind of attending today, I might have said something along the lines of compliance and reporting and regulation with regards to sustainability, not because it's kind of this big thing that's now hanging over our heads, but why we were looking for that in the first instance. But I think when we look at it as an industry, I think what we're underestimating is that this is a travel industry. It is not an aviation industry. And so much of the dialogue is owned by aviation. And that's really frustrating because it closes the doors for other kind of conversation. I think, one of the myth-busting sessions about the SAF fuel, that's because the aviation industry got together and said, hey, how can we as aviation be more sustainable? They didn't sit there and say, hey, we're travel. How do we create connected, blended travel experiences? How do we bring rail? How do we bring public mobility? How do we bring 15-minute cities? How do we look at travel as an experience, as something that we can build a better system for? And so I think that's probably what I think as an industry, and maybe as a room we're underestimating, is that there is a huge amount of power across the rest of the modes of transport that come together and create a little opportunity to communicate between the two.
There you go.
Thanks.
It's interesting. You talk about aviation. One of all the head-scratching things that capitalism can come up with sometimes, I still am surprised when I book a flight. At the very end, when you go to check out, and it's like, would you like to give $5 towards sustainability, And I wonder if anybody ever does that. Does anyone ever do that? Does anybody know if anybody actually ever does that?
1.5% of travelers.
1.5%. Thank you, Oliver. Skift Advisory in the back.
Why are you paying more for a premium on something that you just expect a better
Yeah.
experience? You want business to be doing better. As I'm a consumer, I'm a traveler,
Yeah.
I work in this industry. Like, why would I pay for what you should be doing
Yeah.
anyway?
Here. That's another one.
You're
I've got
looking for that
I've got
as a
too
way of
much in my
generating
hands to
revenue,
clap.
as a way of generating commercial value. Like, you're completely
Yeah.
in the wrong place.
What is something you think that we all will be talking about next year?
What, in terms of generally, or in terms
Yeah, let's go with generally.
Generally, great.
Let's just
because I
go
don't
with
want to
generally.
predict any trends. In terms of what we will be talking about and what I'd like us to
Yeah,
be
let's go
talking
with
about,
what you would like to be talking about.
I would love us to be talking about the decisions that are made or that we have made that have actually changed the systems. So what I mean by that is that we talk about trends, we talk about kind of outcomes of decisions, but we don't necessarily say, hey, this is what we did. This was the decisions that we made for these reasons. This was what we thought was going to happen, and this is the result of that happening, and this has been good, bad, ugly, amazing for us. I think we share a lot of surface level experience when it comes to communicating with our peers and standing on stage, whether it's in panels or keynote sessions, and I think that's what I mean about the agenda. The leadership piece is lacking because no one is sitting there saying, hey, we did this, it didn't work, don't waste your time, or hey, you're doing something that's really cool, we want to learn from that. And I think that's a big missing piece in dialogue like this.
I think the word you correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're looking for is accountability.
Yeah, definitely accountability to, the sector. It has to survive for us to survive and thrive, and we all have a responsibility and accountability to making sure that happens. And ultimately, when we look at the geopolitical landscape, like, travel isn't going to survive World War III. It'll come back, of course it will, but actually how are we kind of bedding down, how are we creating resilience, how are we looking ahead to those long-term futures and saying, how is that going to disrupt the way that we travel, the way that we engage, where we want to go, and build for that kind of long-term trajectory.
What makes you optimistic? You work in sustainability, so,
I am genuinely a natural optimist. Actually what makes me optimistic is that change is the only stable thing right now. You can guarantee that you will go to sleep and you'll wake up and something else would have happened that is completely off the wall. And that actually, change is the only way that we grow, the only way that we innovate. And if you are grounding yourself and your organizations and your commercial strategies and your operations and kind of where you're going to in the fact that change is the only constant. Again, I think it's about what is that long-term goal. And I think the conversation about Eurostar and thinking about building trains and capacity, if you can think about, hey, in 25 years' time, we want to be a rail-first Europe, for example, what does it actually take to build that? And then you can micro-adjust your course across and you can look to China and see that it's decarbonising at a massive rate. It's coming off of coal. So is India. That's because they've got a 50-year strategy.
Okay, so quick lightning round. What is a buzzword you hate?
Sustainability.
What is a travel trend that you would ban?
Oh, green add-ons that do absolutely nothing for anybody.
Okay, finish this sentence. In 2026, the most chaotic part of travel will be...
reconciling, I don't know travel, but travel business and travel industry, I think reconciling your commercials with sustainability and being able to say, maybe we're not going to hit this quarter, but we're investing for, a year down the road kind of thing, or 2 years down the road. So, yeah.
All right. So, Anna Abdelnour, thank you so much for being our very first empty chair.